Hi there everyone, Lars back with another Writer's Rant, brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And my rant today is what really is the biggest problem with Moana 2, and it is not what a lot of people think it is. The biggest problem is that we didn't get the television show that we were supposed to have gotten. For those of you who don't know, Moana 2 was originally supposed to be a television show. And if you go into the movie knowing that, it quickly becomes clear where character arcs were supposed to have been, where they got cut, where certain plot threads were supposed to have actually spun out to, how some characters were actually supposed to get entire episodes dedicated to them. And it's a real shame that we didn't, especially for the Bat Lady, because that was really cool to see. There's so much that was left on the cutting room floor, and it obviously shows. And it's clear that the music was also not at blockbuster status. In fact, actually, the music is incredibly good for a television show, not for a movie. Furthermore, the conflict to Moana 2 of going to the island, striving against one of the great gods, improving humanity, the status of demigods, what really makes a demigod, and how, again, humans are able to rise up to various occasions and just become these great individuals, these great entities that change the world. All of this is really good stuff for a long-form television show. The movie, and this might be a little bit controversial to say, the movie was actually pretty good. Yes, it was. I'm going to flat out say it. I went in expecting to be bored out of my mind or to be aghast at all the horrible writing, and while there are plenty of questionable moments and I really don't like Moana's crew, I have to say there was a lot of really good stuff. I love Moana, love her family, love Maui, I love the expanded world building. I like that there is an actual threat that is present throughout the story as opposed to the first. Yes, I am saying that. There is a problem with the first Moana, and it is that the Great Curse only really is relevant at the beginning of the movie, and then when we pan on over to Te Fiti, it's a little bit of a disappointing twist. It is an emotional twist, but if you were expecting some great action, you're not getting what you wanted right there. And for some people, that's really great. For other people, that's not quite so great. We'll let the comments battle that one out. But in my opinion, as a writer, Moana 2 is perfectly serviceable as a kid's movie. It is something that as an adult I could see myself having on in the background, and I can pay attention to what song is happening, and thereby I know what is happening in the movie at that point. Does the movie actually deliver anything of substance? No, it does not. In fact, going back to Moana, there's a lot of Moana that doesn't provide any substance. The songs are really good, but it's actually missing quite a bit. And one of the things I can definitely praise Moana 2 for is that it does not use the Coconut Warriors as a one-and-done joke. Yes, these Coconut Warriors that were built up at the beginning of the movie, and yes, I know it was for a joke, were a one-and-done joke. 5 minutes, and that's it. However, in Moana 2, not only do they present a viable threat, but also viable companions, and they help to expand on the world building in a meaningful way. I really liked that. They still provided plenty of entertainment and laughs, but it wasn't a one-and-done joke this time around. I like that. And I also like to see how Maui has changed as a person, how Moana has changed as a person. Moana 2 delivered pretty well. However, again, if you want to dive into anything a little bit more deep, anything meatier than that, you're going to be disappointed. So it's a very good, serviceable kids movie, which is what Disney wanted to do, and so huzzah, Disney, you got the win. The problem is this: it should have been a television show. And the reason why I say that is not because of all of the stuff that was left on the cutting room floor. Oh no, not just for that, but because Disney shot itself in the foot in a horrible way. So, first of all, Disney has completely disrespected its animation division, both on a cinematic level and on a television level. 100%, you can't convince me otherwise. All of the shows that they've axed, all of the showrunners that they've used and abused, all of the intellectual properties that they've allowed to just be run into the ground, and all of the fans that they've abused as well. Yeah, Disney doesn't care about animation, never mind the fact that animation is what got Disney started in the first place. Oh no! And, that's just frustrating because it's Disney on the big screen trashing its legacy. And in fact, there's actually a bunch of little snide remarks, side winks, and jokes that are actually poking fun at Disney itself and how it is imploding. Pay really close attention. You'll get at least 3 different jokes in the movie that poke fun at the fact that Disney is retrograding in terms of quality, ingenuity, and what they were always supposed to do. Another big problem is that by instead transforming the show into a movie, not only did they use and abuse all of their workers, forcing them to work around the clock for an entire year, basically a slave labor, to crank out a movie that had plenty of heart to it, but could have been a show with even more heart. But no, they disrespected the story. Because if you've gone to see Moana 2 and you've seen the colorful cast of characters, and again, Moana's crew sucks, imagine if Moana's crew had actually been given proper character development. They might have actually been really great individuals that would have helped to uplift the entire story. And you could have gone deeper into some of the villains or some of the morally gray characters to just help spicing up the story a whole lot more. And for the people who said, we didn't get enough Maui in this movie, we actually got plenty of Maui. We would have gotten more Maui if we had gotten the television show. And that's just a massive disappointment. This movie is a disrespectful work of art to the masterpiece that might have been the show. We actually never will now know because they scrapped the show. They scrapped a bona fide good idea from everything that I've seen on the screen from the movie. It could have been a great show, but instead we get, as many people told me in the movie theater after watching the movie, it was fun, but it felt incomplete. It was fun, but it wasn't what I wanted. It was fun, but it feels like I'm missing something. With a show, they would have gotten it. It would have been a whole and complete story, absolutely fulfilling to the audience, and no, we get an incomplete and unfulfilling movie. That's a betrayal to the story, and that's a betrayal to the audience's trust in your story. And as other people are pointing out, that if you have plenty of people who feel this way leaving Moana 2, what are the odds, what are the chances that they are going to be so excited to return to Moana 3 when that eventually comes out, rather than just simply wait at home for it to pop up on Disney Plus, which then means that Disney again is leaving money on the table and not picking up either the box office or in revenue, or even more importantly, toys. Because here is the next big problem with Moana 2. Why it should have been a television show. Because television shows are so incredibly merchandisable. There's so much money that can be had in toys, costumes, posters, stickers, books, coloring books, the whole shebang. Everything that you could want for kids, for teenagers, and for adults who love Moana, because Moana is largely loved by all demographics. And so if you have a show that for a long time is pulling people in, revealing more of Moana's story, this beautiful world that Moana is sailing into, introducing all of these other characters, these great sights that can be turned into toys, into action figures, and into costumes that people can buy and everything like that, people will buy this. And if Disney thinks that people won't, they are not paying attention. As I've been doing my research into the success of the Amazing Digital Circus, one of the things that I have come to discover, and this is no exaggeration, that Glitch Productions is making millions of dollars off of merchandise. This is an indie company. They are small. They are a fraction of the size of the Walt Disney Corporation, and they are making bank. Disney, with all of its vast resources and connections, should easily be able to create a new toy empire around a Moana show and make bank. by making a great show that would have been a crowning achievement to in-house animation, that would have allowed Disney to properly reclaim the crown of animation king within the entire worldwide industry, showing, hey, we don't just love our movies, but we also love our television division, and we are going to put Moana out there for people to see on TV with ads, that way we get some ad revenue, and then we're going to roll out all of these amazing toys for these characters that you are going to fall in love with, and for this world that you're going to re-fall in love with all over again. Hallelujah. It would be a payday. And so what is the big problem with Moana 2? Well, it's like I said, it should have been its own television show, given all of the proper respect that it absolutely deserves, along with the merchandise that is needed in order for it to be absolutely bankable. And here's the thing, you use this show to build up the world and everything, and then you could introduce another great movie. Now, while there are those people who say, wait a second, the MCU is in part failing because they're using these television shows to set up movies that no one's going to, and I hear you right there, but that's ultimately the MCU playing around with oftentimes not the greatest of stories, and without making it clear how any of these stories interconnect. Moana is not burdened by a great connected universe. It is its own thing. And hear me out just a moment right here. We've already seen what Disney can do with an animated show back with Tangled the Animated Series. Because with Tangled the Animated Series, they expounded on everything that we got within the Tangled movie and developed this beautiful, amazing world with these great characters, with these great adventures, tons of amazing music, great laughs, great adventures. The characters were even more fleshed out. Just Eugene and Rapunzel were amazing together throughout this entire show. It made you love them even more and celebrate them getting married even more than watching the original movie. You could have had something similar, something comparable with Moana 2 as a show. The problem is that Tangled the Animated Series was never given enough love by Disney. The creators behind the show loved it, adored it. You can see the passion in the entire show. Imagine if you had gotten that with Moana 2 as a show, and then given all of the proper resources by the Disney Corporation to then be the money-making powerhouse that it could be. Yes, Moana 2 will make money at the movie theater. Yes, it is a movie that's perfectly serviceable for kids. And yes, it is a movie that's going to kick off a whole Moana franchise. The problem is that ultimately Disney is going to be looking at diminishing returns overall. And again, we see the telltale signs of immense disrespect to the story, to the creators, to the fans. And we also will see how characters, because when they're not fully respected, when they're not properly developed, will just simply recede into the background. You won't be able to then properly sell any toys from this because you did not put in the effort to make people fall in love with all these new characters, which means that your merchandising opportunities are not what they could be. Disney is screwing up. Yeah, they're making money in the process, but they're not preserving their legacy like they should, and this will lead to some problems, to diminishing returns in the long run, and still hold the door open for indie animation to sweep in and start cleaning up, because indie animation shows that you can make bank doing this. Disney, why aren't you paying attention? So, there you have it. That is my assessment of what is wrong with Moana 2. I'll say this, if you want to go and have a good time at the movie theater, go watch Moana 2. I think you'll actually enjoy it. However, if you're paying attention, you'll realize that it's taking some nice pot shots at Disney, some nice subtle jabs every now and then, and you'll also realize it's not the story that it could be. You'll realize this is not at all the masterpiece that we could have gotten. And it leaves you wondering, what could have been? And that's actually one of the saddest things. What could have been? Because Disney, as the kingdom of possibility and magic, should not leave you wondering where the extent of your imagination can go. Because instead, what Moana 2 is really showing us is where the extent of your greed, or in this case, Disney's greed, will go. So, with all that being said, if you're interested in stories that are not held back by such greed, by such stupidity, by such short-sightedness, then please check out the books that we've published. Links for them are in the description below. And if you'd like to support the work that we do here, then please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing this video out if you found it enjoyable, if you found it informative, or if you want to just rant and tear me a new one. All of that is a-okay. But thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.